Welcome to Film and Page. I'm Dominic. This is another book hunting video, and in this one I stop into The Bookworm, which is a used bookstore a few minutes' drive from where I live. There I find perhaps the only collaboration between Frank Herbert and his son Brian Herbert. I hope you enjoy the video. So starting things off, we have The Stairway to Heaven by Zechariah Stitchin. So I read the first book in this series of books, The 12th Planet, back in 2008, 2007, in there somewhere. And these books are about the ancient astronaut theory. If you're familiar with that, that's what those books are about. And now this was a section here in the Salvation Army that I kind of passed over the last time I was here. I didn't really look through this section. It was kind of at the end of the rest of the shelves. Here we have another copy of The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King. Now, there's a lot of editions of Lord of the Rings out there, and these ones are really plentiful. I see them pop up all the time in used bookstores, and I have to say, I don't like these editions. There's a lot of editions out there that for Lord of the Rings that I don't really care for. And here we have another Game of Thrones book, A Dance with Dragons. This is a very popular fantasy series, obviously. Now, it's one that I've thought about getting into, but where it doesn't have an end, I just don't want to get into it until I know it has a final book. Then we have Mass Effect, another really popular science fiction franchise. I played a little bit of the first game. I was kind of tempted to get this book, but I'm kind of holding off on buying physical books just for space reasons, unless it's a book that I really, really want or a must have. Because a lot of these books you can get in ebook form. And here's a Doctor Who book, Winner Takes All. I know there's a lot of Doctor Who fans out there, and it's a very popular science fiction franchise, but it's one that I've tried repeatedly to get into, but I just can't. For whatever reason, I cannot get into Doctor Who. I've tried to watch the series a few times, tried to get into it, but just never could. Now, here we are in the horror section at Value Village. Always have my eyes peeled for some Bentley Little. And we have a really nice edition here of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. That's actually a pretty cool looking edition. If you haven't read that book, you really owe it to yourself to read it. It's a very, very good book. And here's some random horror novels. Now, these novels, these horror books, I see a lot of these pop up, and they're like smaller books. They're not very thick, but one thing I love about them, I'm always drawn to, is the artwork. And I'm guessing these would be like the 70s, early 80s. A lot of these books came out. And something about the artwork, it's always drawn me to them. They kind of got this faded look to them, and the fact that they're kind of used and a bit beat up actually adds to it for some reason. But these are books I always enjoy checking out. And now this book here looks like it probably came out in the 80s or 90s. Horror novel, probably YA, probably geared more towards kids, but pretty colorful cover, pretty cool cover actually for a paperback novel. And then we have this one, God Save the Queen. Interesting cover for that book as well. Now this one down here, I'm not sure what this book is about, but I love the cover artwork. It looks really cool. Very, very good. And now back over to the science fiction and fantasy section and take a look and see what they got in here today. The Robots of Time, or Robots in Time, Isaac Asimov. So I'm wondering, is this a different robot series from the regular one? Because there seems to be a few Robots in Time books in that series. And some more Star Wars books. I'm pretty sure those ones were here last time I was here as well. And here they have the complete Star Wars Encyclopedia, Volume 3. So there's multiple volumes of that now. I have one that came out in the 90s, and it was just one volume. Superman Showcase. I remember these showcase books. I never really could get into these because all these stories are meant to be in color, and I just couldn't take to it. Marvel had a similar edition, same thing. It was all wasn't in color, and I never could buy them. Sequest DSV The Ancient. Now, I was tempted to pick this book up. I didn't, but I was tempted to, just to see what Sequest would be like in novelization form. It was a show that I tried to stay on board with and tried to get into, but I never really could. Star Trek 12 by James Blish. Now, a lot of these Star Trek novels that James Blish did, they pop up in used bookstores all the time. And he did a lot of novelizations of classic episodes and then original stories and things like that too. And the thing about these books is they always have pretty good cover artwork. That's what I've always liked about them. And I have a few of them, but it's a pretty plentiful series. And they do pop up quite a bit. Like this one here has pretty good artwork. That's pretty good. Now, what else do they have here? And that's the thing. There's always new stuff coming and going. Chapter House Dune. Now, I really like this edition of Chapter House Dune, and I wish I had all the Dune books, the 6 original ones, in this style, but hardcover. Now, I already have this edition, but I bought it new like some years, quite a few years ago, probably almost 20 years ago now. Death's Angel, another old Star Trek paperback. Pretty good art, pretty good cover artwork on that one as well. So there wasn't anything else here that really caught my eye. So that pretty much wraps things up at Value Village. So here I am now at the Bookworm, and this is a used bookstore close to where I live, and it's the only one in Sherwood Park. And this isn't a thrift store, it is a straight up used bookstore. And what I like about it is they usually have a lot of stuff here that's hard to find in other places. And their books are a little bit more pricier than the regular thrift stores, but the books are usually in better shape. And right away, I wasn't here too long, and I found some gold. Frank Herbert and Brian Herbert, Man of Two Worlds. So my first time coming across this book in the wild. And there was no way I was leaving the store without this book. This was one I picked up for sure. Now, most of the bookstores that are within driving distance of me, they're on a place called White Ave. And White Ave is like really congested and the parking sucks there. So I don't go to those ones very often. So I'm really glad and I'm really happy that there is a used bookstore that is very close to me. So I usually come here every couple months and I usually always find something. There's always something that I find that is just gold whenever I come here. So when I come to these types of bookshops, there's always some things I'm looking for. More Bentley Little books. I'm always on the lookout for his novels. And here lately, there's one key book in particular that I've been looking for, and it is Code Veronica, the novelization of that game by S.D. Perry. I have all of the books that she did for the Resident Evil series except that one. That's the last one I need to complete that series. So I found it once actually, and it was at Value Village, but it was a really bad, beat up copy, and it had blood stains on it, so I never picked that one up. But I'm always looking for at least a halfway decent copy of it. But it's been really, really hard to find so far. So that pretty much wraps everything up for this visit at the Bookworm. Frank Herbert and Brian Herbert, Man of Two Worlds. So this was a collaboration between Frank Herbert and Brian Herbert. And I've never seen this book before. This is the first time I've ever seen it pop up in the wild. I've heard of it, but never seen it. So this was another really cool find. And as far as I know, this is the one and only collaboration between Brian Herbert and Frank Herbert. So that's kind of cool. And this was originally published in 1986. And this edition right here, this Ace softcover or paperback edition, this was released in 1987. So awesome find. So that's everything I have to say in this video. Let me know what you think in the comments section, and I will see you at the next one. I'd like to say thank you to all of my subscribers. I appreciate you all in helping this channel grow. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also, don't forget to hit the bell icon so you'll be notified when new videos are uploaded.